bitches. I'm out on the trails, as I'm sure you can see. And boy, do I have a lot to talk about. And I just spent the last, 20 minutes walking to the Bruce Trail and thought, maybe I'll film this, maybe I won't. Maybe I'll just capture some random ass hiking. But the longer I walk, the more I'm like, nah, I got a lot to say. And I'm gonna say it. And I'm gonna fall. First things first, I am heading back to the Bruce Trail for attempt number 2, and that will be happening in approximately 2 months. It's the middle of March right now, and it's been almost 6 months since I started in September. I am looking forward to it, and I do fully believe that this time I should be successful because I made a lot of mistakes and I learned from those mistakes. Number 1, Penny will not be joining me. Big lesson learned on that one. It wasn't that I didn't think she was capable of it. I think the food carries were a little much for her as well as me. I'll get to that later, but yeah, I just starting up in the Bruce Peninsula where the trail is super rugged, and not getting nearly enough training in that both of us should have gotten in. So I think it was too much for her. It was too much for her, and the amount of weight on her back, because we're both trying to carry 7 or 8 days worth of food, was all just too much. So sending her home on the 4th day was the right thing to do, and I made that decision long before it got like worst case scenario. So, and that was something that I totally knew and considered when I started in September last year, that I had to be really cognizant of how it was going to affect her. She's not a very big dog. She's only about 25 pounds, so oh well. This time I will not be starting with her because clearly it wasn't going to work then. It's not going to work now. Number 2, I got a new GoPro. It's a GoPro Hero 9. I think the last one I was using was a 6. I don't know. Ryan? I don't really know the numbers, but this one has a front-facing screen so I can see my ugly mug. But most importantly, I am not going to have the stupid fucking lost footage and battery issues that I didn't know I was having on the old GoPro until I got home and had a chance to review the footage and found that so much of it was trash, and it really took the wind out of my sails when I was trying to edit these videos that were really important to me, and I was fucked. So I edited out so much stuff, and I tried to make do with what I did have, but what was happening is the video was freezing, but the audio was continuing. So I had all this audio with frozen footage, and it really, really fucking pissed me off to the point where I almost didn't make the videos at all. I was gonna trash the whole darn thing. I'm glad I didn't. Thank you, Ryan, for talking me out of it and helping me through it, coming up with suggestions, and I'm really glad I made them. It's still winter here. I don't know if you can see the snow. It's kind of pretty. Okay, number 3, about attempt number 2. So these numbers. And this is a big one, and this is probably shit I'm going to talk about, but my feet are already soaking wet. I am not giving myself a completion date, at least not a set in stone completion date, because I think that really fucked me up mentally last year. It really weighed heavy on me every day while I was hiking, that I had this clock ticking down where I had to get back because I had to get back to work, and you can't take the work out of a workaholic. So I'm not giving myself a completion date. I'm giving myself a ballpark completion date just because I have to tell people something. People meaning the people I work with. Fuck that, I kind of lost my train of thought. I really do have a lot to say. And okay, so this is part 3B. I am just going to stop editing out my true thoughts and my true feelings of what I experienced and what I went through and what I'm going to go through again. I'm embarrassed. I don't want to share a lot of this personal shit on the internet. But at the same time, who's really watching these fucking videos anyway? Me and maybe Ryan, because he has to, because he's my husband. He better watch my fucking videos. So I'm gonna be more honest and share more crap, because I really do feel like future me, I don't know, might like it. The whole point of these is a memory, so I can look back on it and remember what I experienced, and there's no point not putting in the experiences. And that's what I did last time. I left out so much. I'd watch it over and I'd cringe and I'd go, nah, that's not going in there. So thought number, I'm gonna fuck off with the numbers. My first thought is, so I told, rewind. I work for 3 main people. I work for a lot of people. I have my own clients, blah, blah, blah. But I have 3 primary architects I do work with. And I call them the 3 Stooges because it makes me laugh. They're all 3 men, great architects. And I've enjoyed working with them. And I've been working with all 3 of them for as long as I've been self-employed, almost. 1 the longest, 2 the second longest, 3 the third longest, but many years. So they know me really well. They know that I have worked my ass off for 7 years doing this business. So when I told them I was doing the Bruce Trail last year, they were all supportive. And that made me feel really good because they knew how important it was to me. How important they knew what it meant for my mental health, what it meant for my work burnout. They know I'm a workaholic because most of the work I do is for them. This time, however, it's a different story. I hesitated on telling them for a really long time until last week. It took me 3 days to write a basic email, and because I felt so uneasy about it, I just couldn't stop thinking, these guys are gonna fucking hate me. Here I am, leaving them, abandoning them again, as somebody who is their primary CAD monkey. So I do a lot of work for them. In fact, for one of them, I am their only person. So it's an abandonment. And Stooge number 1 was very supportive, and he made me feel really good about it. He was all for it. He told me I worked too much, and he wanted me to take more time. And he said, as long as you give me enough of a heads up, then I can schedule properly. I almost started crying because it was not a response I was expecting. Stooge number 2 was not pleased. They were upset. They're kind of supportive, but in the end it was kind of like a 50-50. It wasn't the best news, but hey, it's not the worst news. Stooge number 3, however, which is the person that I enjoy working for the most, was mad. Straight up mad. He asked me a lot of questions on the phone, which put me in a really uncomfortable situation because I didn't know how to answer them. And I definitely felt the anger. I was abandoning him again. Here we go again. What am I gonna do? You're gonna do this all the time? Are you gonna just take off for months on end every year? How do I expect to manage my workload around that? You know, I can't give you new work, and I get it. I really do, but I'm also giving him 2 months of a lot of work on my end, because I'll get into that in a bit. I feel like I'm gonna fall. So that reaction left me really upset, and that happened a little less than a week ago. It was actually on Monday. Today is Friday, and I have not been managing my emotions around his reactions very well. I take it very personally. My work is very important to me. My work relationships are very important to me. So I hesitated even for a couple days. I'm like, maybe I just don't go. Maybe I just don't do this again. And it really made me feel like, from his perspective, he thought maybe it was really cute. Oh, look, Chris is doing this. That's so wonderful. What a great little bucket list item. And then when I failed that bucket list, came home, was really upset. He's probably like, well, now that she got that out of her system, back to our regular scheduled programming of working 90 hours a week for me. Not the case on my end, but I really felt like he just thought it was a cute little goal, and now what? Back to normal. So that did not sit well with me, and he has been giving me the cold shoulder, being very short with me ever since. So I don't know if that has permanently ruined my work relationship with him. I got off the phone and I cried about it, because it really does mean a lot to me, these people and these relationships that I have and have built up over years of hard fucking work for them. And if I'm being honest, this is not the start and end of my backpacking days. This is more or less the restart of my youth. And guess what? I daydream of hiking something like the Appalachian Trail one day. And would they be accepting of that? Hell fucking no. The Bruce Trail is what I'm guessing 5 or 6 weeks. Appalachian Trail, that's 5 or 6 months. They're never gonna accept that. So I don't know, maybe that's a pipe dream I need to give up. What I'm getting at though is they have no idea that this is not just something I'm getting out of my system. I don't know if I quite fully captured what my intention in the last rant, but so I spent 21 or 23 days or something like that on the trail last year, and it wasn't totally apparent to me until I finished just how much of those long days was spent worrying about getting back in time and not enjoying it. I don't necessarily want to say I was pushing my body beyond its limits. In some respects I was, but physically I wasn't. But I really suffered mentally because I couldn't stop thinking about how I had to get back for a certain time, and how I had told people when I was coming home and when I'd be back to work, and it was like a set date. So, I took a day off because I wasn't feeling well, and I took a couple more days off, and I had a couple shorter days, and I started, those were compounding, going, oh no, I'm not going to be back in time. I already had house measures booked and meetings booked and all this shit, and how am I going to get back if I'm not finished? Which just had me pushing a minimum of 30 kilometers days. That became my norm, is I can't stop until I get at least 30. Some days that was horrible. There was a lot of unhappy hiking because I was just not enjoying it. The stress of getting home for work was so heavy on my mind that it was almost pointless to be out there. What are we at? Point number 4. It's just like last time. I really suck at counting. Woo! How about point number 4 is these old Ultras from last year. They're the Ultra Superiors, so they're basically the most minimal Ultras, I believe, the lowest padding. They're pretty ruined. I'll show you in a second, but there's so much ice, and I don't like ice trekkers. I don't like trekking poles, so they're pretty slippy today. If that was point number 4, then this is point number 5. I have some new equipment, new gear, which, I don't know, I may or may not make a video about that. We'll see. Maybe it's not so much new gear, but methods, changing things up. I'm totally... Whoa! The ice is eating the leaves. Can you see that? Number 7, question mark. I've had another 6 months of healing on my shitty shoulders. And now my bad shoulder is much better. Still not 100%, maybe 75%. Shoulder 1 is at, I'd guess 90%. I almost have full range of motion back in it. They're weak, but the pain has substantially subsided. And one of the new gear purchases I have is a new backpack. I loved my Big Bird, but Waymark came out with a framed pack, so I jumped on that bandwagon. I didn't want the extra weight, but also I'm pretty sure I have shitty shoulders for life, and that frameless backpack was probably a problem. It was a problem. It was a big problem. It caused me a lot of pain. And on that topic of the backpack, I have yet to open it. It's still sitting in our living room in the box that it came in like 3-4 weeks ago. I haven't been able to bring myself to open it because up until this week I was not even sure I was gonna commit to it again, and I felt like I'm not gonna open it until I deserve it. And when I ordered that backpack, I took my body measurements, which I could swear I did when I had the first pack, and I struggled with that first pack. I think it was the wrong size. I think I ordered the wrong torso size. I ordered a size small, and when I measured it, I was almost between a medium and a large. The waistband was fine, but the torso size was too small, so I was constantly fucking around with it, and I couldn't get the weight off my shoulders. And that's probably why, because I couldn't get it on my hips because it was too short. I didn't have enough play, so it was always sitting on my shoulders and pinching my nerves, and I hope not to do that again. I grabbed my rain jacket at the last minute before I left the house because I had my down jacket on, and it's not cold. It's not cold at all, but the temperature is warm enough that all this snow is melting. And look at my hands wet and cold and getting in my hair. And if you have dreadlocks, then you know that wet dreadlocks are take forever to dry. What are we at? Number 7, 8, 9, 10? This is a big one for me. Resupply. I don't know what to do about it. Last time I had arranged with Ryan he was meeting me once a week. He would bring me what I needed, etc., etc., etc. Took you know, some dirty clothes home, took battery banks home, charged up battery banks, washed clothes for me, brought them back, and we switched them out. But I don't want to do that, and I didn't want to do it last time either, because it's a big burden and a lot to ask of these people that I love. I know my parents are retired and they probably would like nothing more than an excuse to drive up north for the day, but it's just a lot to ask of somebody to drive up to 3 hours in one direction just to bring me stuff. And I've talked about this before, but the Bruce Trail is not necessarily set up for, you know, technically through hiking. It doesn't really go through cities and towns. It goes through a couple, but a lot of it you're on trail for 7 or 8 days at a time before you pass through anything that resembles a city or a town or something where you can resupply yourself. It's not like the Appalachian Trail. There's no hostels, there's no real motels. What I was doing and what I was finding is that I was just desiring the comforts of something like a motel room once every, say, 3 or 4 days, because that's about how long my battery bank was lasting for, and having a shower was kind of important to me. So I don't really know what to do. I thought I could do something like the States where you can ship yourself boxes through Canada Post, but I talked to somebody at Canada Post and I thought that flex delivery was an option, but it is not. You cannot go into Canada Post and send a box to Canada Post. You can't send it from one post office to another, and that really burst my bubble, because I thought at least that way I could send it to Lion's Head and Wyerton. Both of those are maybe 5 days apart, at least in the rough spots up in the Bruce Pen where there isn't much. So once that became a non-option, I thought, okay, well then I'm right back to where I was before, carrying like 5 to 7 days worth of food and hoping that my battery bank will last that long. I just don't want anybody behind me. This is embarrassing. So now I'm contemplating looking into maybe Purolite or FedEx, UPS. Is there any possible way I can ship to a depot or something? Because I know that they have shipping locations in like Lion's Head and Wyerton. I looked ahead of time, but whether or not you can send a package there where they will keep it for, 2 weeks, I don't know. So if I wasn't clear, the meeting up with family, more or less Ryan, wasn't a good option. It worked for the time being, but the reality of carrying that much food on me at any point in time was kind of part of my demise because it was so heavy. And just getting people to drive up to meet me was a royal pain in the ass. And if we're looking at the reality of the situation right now in the world with the war, gas prices. Yesterday, gas here in Hamilton was $1.87 a liter. I can't be having people spend that much on gas. The gas prices are not going down anytime soon. They're just going to continue to go up. So I just feel that that is a shitty option. I'd rather find some way to spend money and send myself things than spend money on somebody's entire day gone into the garbage because they're driving up to meet me. And some of the problems I have and the reasons why this is so stressful is because not only do I have type 1 diabetes, so there's certain things like glucose tablets and glucose test strips and insulin and syringes, and they don't take up that much space in the grand scheme of things, but they do if I had to carry a lot of it. Glucose sensors, my CGM sensors that I replace every 2 weeks, for example. I lost my train of thought. Choo choo. Oh, what I was gonna say is I have been meticulously weighing everything to get a grip on where things like weight in my backpack are coming from. A bottle of glucose tablets is 8 ounces. That's the same as my phone. So, and those glucose tablets hopefully are gonna last me a week, but low blood sugars happen, shit happens, so that tree is painted my favorite color. Anyway, yeah, glucose tablets. I need them, and they're 8 ounces. And glucose sensor, syringes, insulin, test strips, my glucose meter. It all adds up, and I need that stuff if I want to, you know, stay alive. Oh, before I turn this off, the other thing that I was going to mention, I also have celiac disease, so it's very, very hard for me to, I have been racking my brain now for almost a year while planning for the last trip and this one, trying to figure out what the fuck I can eat. The combination of having to be gluten-free and to deal with type 1 diabetes, so we've got high carb issues that affect me, and then gluten. And so backpacking foods are typically high carb, and there's a lot of gluten, you know, ramen ramen, pasta, all of those Knorr sides, even the rice Knorr sides, even the rice noodle Knorr sides, have pasta in them. So I don't have that option. And I did walk into the Foodland in Lion's Head that day that my dad came to pick up Penny. I walked through there just to see if there was anything I might like. I bought a banana and an applesauce, but those podunk supermarkets in the fucking middle of nowhere towns, tiny places, they don't help me. I can't use it. I can't buy anything. I can't eat half the shit that's in there. So, although a lot of people can go and buy a fucking Knorr rice side or something like that, I can't even use that. So, and Knorr actually has 3 gluten-free rice sides, but two of those rice sides are cheese-based. I'm also vegan. Yes, that's by choice, not by dietary requirement, so I can always waver on that, and I already do. Like, I'm not 100% vegan, so I might be able to fudge it that way, but this is really hard. This has been the hardest part of planning this whole thing, is the fact that I am fucked up. I'm fucked up with type 1 diabetes, celiac disease, podunk towns, long food carries. How do I get the stuff I need to me? Even oatmeal. Certified gluten-free oats are not easy to find, and I'm certainly not going to find them in those podunk grocery stores. That is a fact. So how do I even get myself a basic necessity like oatmeal? The only way to do it is to ship it to myself, somebody bring it to me. It's just, I don't know. I wish to fucking science that I was a normal fucking human being and could just do this normally. Just walk into any fucking random grocery store and just buy food and eat it. But it's not that way. So I'm really struggling here because I don't know what to do. Aside from driving up and burying buckets in the dirt, because I did think about that. But I don't know what to do. You can't get stuff to myself. Future me, what are you gonna do? I'm actually not too bothered that I've fallen on my ass 3 times. The first time I fell, I landed on my shite shoulder, like on my elbow, and I freaked out thinking, oh fuck, I've done it again. I've set myself back on my shitty shoulder, but it feels okay. And then, but 30 seconds later, I fell on my hip on the other side, and that hurt. And then a few minutes ago, I fell on my other hip, and landed like bang on my knee. I'm a little banged up. Normally I don't fall this much, even when there's ice, but oh well. Yes, I know. Trekking poles would probably help, Scully. I really suck at trying to say what I'm thinking in a concise little package. I don't really know where I am. Well, I mean, I know where I am. The Devil's Punch Bowl is right there, which is a popular spot for Hamilton, which maybe I will show you if it looks good enough. What was I getting at? It's hard for me to prioritize this. I need to get out. I need to do some kind of training, be it running or inlining, which is kind of hard to do inlining these days because it's fucking winter, or just plain old walking and hiking. I don't normally hike very much because I live in Hamilton and it's a very busy place. Whoa! Very densely populated. and one of the last things I'm going to talk about is food for my BT attempt number 2. So how, might you ask me, do I plan to not end up where I ended up last time, which in retrospect was calorie deficit so bad that I was malnourished, and it took me weeks to kind of get back to normal. Couldn't really eat right for weeks. Came home and all I could really manage was potatoes. I just roasted potatoes every day, and that's pretty much all I ate. Well, the shorter answer is I don't really know. But the long answer is I'm gonna try. I'm going to, first of all, try to take it a bit easier so that I'm not pushing my body to limits where it is physically unable to eat, where I'm nauseous all the time. I am going to make a concerted effort to force myself to eat before I get hungry, even just nibbling. And the biggest thing that I'm going to change is what I'm eating. And I know I mentioned this probably in my follow-up video, but I was kind of going more for nutrition than I was for flavor. So I'm just gonna go back to the basics, and I'm gonna make sure that I have stuff that I know for sure I like, regardless of whether or not it is super high protein or high whatever. And I said this before, but I pre-made all these oatmeals for myself, and I love oatmeal. I especially love cold soak oatmeal. I eat that at home every day almost. But what I did is I took my oats and I mixed it with these vegan protein powder, which is not very tasty on its own. And then I put a shit ton of chia seeds in there, which I don't really like chia seeds. I like chia seeds when I make chia pudding or maybe blended in a smoothie, but like I would put a huge amount of chia seeds in my oatmeal. So it ended up being this like gross chia seed, nasty vanilla artificial flavor. It was bad. Didn't taste good at all. And that's why I only really ate it, I think, less than 5 times. Yeah, so number 1, food that I definitely will like, despite it being maybe not as nutritionally balanced, or what I need. A few people have mentioned like vitamins, and I don't know about that. I don't take vitamins in my daily life. I probably won't, because I just don't. I don't wanna. Yeah. So I have no firm idea of how to fix that problem other than I'm just gonna have to try harder. I have now spent a great deal of time on the phone answering emails as I walk along. It never lets up. Batteries don't like cold weather. Full battery and it's like, nah, I'm too cold. I've got Ryan coming to pick me up and my feet are very cold and I'm tired of slip tripping and falling. I'm surprised it's still snowing and there's much snow on the ground as there is. And for the majority of my little hike today, I have not seen any other footprints in the snow. I had to put you in my armpit so that you would fucking work. I hate winter. It's nice to be out here in the peace and quiet, but I'd rather there not be snow. My feet are soaking wet and freezing cold. My chariot awaits down here somewhere.